right now. Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call, powered by FanDuel Sportsbook.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Fan Cave. This is where we talk sports every night of the week, right here at 10:35. It's the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call, powered by FanDuel Sportsbook. And I know a lot of people on that book probably lost some money today based on how this game turned out. 19-14, not many people saw it that way. Of course, the big news trumps the actual game. It is Bud Dupree going out, injuring his knee, and it's a tear. It's an ACL tear. Jerry Dulac, our insider from the Post-Gazette, has confirmed that the Steelers say his season is over, and this is a tough loss for the Steelers because Bud Dupree was playing so well opposite T.J. Watt. He also had an opportunity to cash in on a big contract in the offseason. Remember, he was playing on a franchise tag, looking at a long-term deal, one he couldn't get here just now, but now you wonder what that means moving forward for his career if the surgery now follows and the rehab time from that. Let's welcome in Chris Mueller from 93.7 The Fan as he joins us right here talking sports. And Chris, I don't know how to categorize this game. Wins are always important. There are 11 wins, no losses, but at the same time, they have not really played many complete games. We'll talk about Bud Dupree in a second, but overall, your thought about how this game went on today.
Well, I was one of the people who made a little bit of money on this game, and I'm a little bit unhappy that I did because I just had a sneaking gut feeling that Baltimore was going to keep this closer than the spread. And granted, it took a touchdown that happened very late for that to take place, but the Steelers looked sloppy. Mike Tomlin had the answer of the year when he was asked about all those drop passes and how to explain them. He just said, us sucking. He's right. They weren't good on either side of the ball. Baltimore really didn't do much offensively. Granted, it was one big play and Ray McLeod's fumble on a punt return that gave them great field position. But still, this game should have been about, 35-3?
Yes.
I mean, this shouldn't have been close. And the fact that it came down, I mean, I don't know if anybody else was watching on TV having the same thought I was. Ben Roethlisberger on a 3rd and, 8, do-or-die play, and he throws a little lollipop up there. I'm thinking, man, he must have found somebody behind the defense. As soon as I saw Baltimore Ravens safety coming over the top, my heart was in my throat because I thought they were actually going to lose this. So it should never have come down to that. And I'm sorry, you can't just go by 11-0 with this team. You have to evaluate the way that they're getting there in some of these games. And this was just, in every way but the final result, which is what matters, I guess, this was below the line, and I think they know it.
Yeah, and Mike Tomlin knows it. That's a reaction you wouldn't expect from a team, and a coach just went 11-0, but he understands that this team has not put together complete efforts. Let me ask you about the 51 passes, Chris, because this is a Baltimore team that came up with a very depleted roster on defense, especially up front. If ever there was an invitation to try to do something up front, this would have been it. All right, but there are pass first team. I get that. But at some point, you have to have a run game that you can at least trust to get some successful yards, and I don't see that yet. And they don't have to run for 150 yards every game. But my goodness, it seems like when they need it, barely comes up with a successful run here and there, and they don't rely on it at all. And I think that could be costly long term.
I think it definitely could be costly long term. In a lot of ways, it seems like their Achilles heel right now. I mean, forget about, I don't think anybody here is sitting there saying, oh, I want to see 170 yards a game like you just said. Nobody wants them to become 3 yards in a cloud of dust. But let's be honest, when they had, 2:58 on the clock and they needed a couple first downs to kill the game because Baltimore had a full complement of timeouts, what did they come out of the chute doing? Throwing the football. I mean, that should tell you all you need to know. When the chips were on the table, and granted, Snell had a couple nice runs after the initial first down, but when the chips were on the table, they said, nope. We're just going to keep doing this. We're going to keep putting the ball in the air. We're going to keep risking artificial stops of the clock in the 4-minute drill, and we're going to go with that and hope that it works out. I mean, Juju Smith-Schuster is their best short yardage running back. I'm serious. He is the guy that I trust more than anybody in the backfield and more than that offensive line from a run blocking perspective. He and Ben Roethlisberger to pick up 3rd and shorts. And that's not a very good sign long term because eventually a team is probably going to be able to make you pay.
Right. They had that one instance, 3rd and 1. They passed. 4th and 1. They passed. Both incomplete. Again, you couldn't be playing into the hands of another team. They got to possess the ball better than that on longer drives. We'll see. It is still 11-0, but they have a lot of room for improvement. And, of course, Bud Dupree's loss. Let me ask you about that now real quick before we go to break because that's the main story after this one. This is a man who was playing extremely well and was going to cash in on some big money afterwards. Now, here it is December. Normally, this is a 12-month rehab if you go through that surgery. That takes him all the way to next December. That's disappointing and sad to see for his efforts. But what do they do in the meantime? Alex Highsmith has played. They have Ola Adani. What do they have to do to the outside now to try to compensate for that loss? It's a big loss.
Well, first of all, I think Highsmith has to be the guy. They clearly have a lot of optimism about him, but this is a crushing loss. Because if you look at the Steelers and then you take stock of who their chief contender is, what team do we constantly mention alongside them? It's the Chiefs. How do you beat the Chiefs? You get pressure with 4 and be able to drop 7 and force Patrick Mahomes to throw into some tough contested areas. Bud Dupree was an integral part of that. There's a trickle-down effect here. Suddenly, T.J. Watt gets focused on more. Other guys like Cam Hayward maybe have to focus a little more on pass rushing. This is a crushing blow for their defense, and I think Highsmith's going to be a really good player. But it has to be a case for him now where the future is now, and he's going to have to play sort of beyond his depth and beyond his experience if they're going to even come close to replicating what Dupree had become.
That's exactly the situation, and now they have to figure that out. And they only have a few days here before Washington, but after that it gets tougher. They have a trip to Buffalo on the tail end of this 3 games in 12 days, and that's not going to be an easy game at all, especially for a quarterback like they got up there in Buffalo with Josh Allen. We're going to take a break. We're going to open it up to you. So call us at 412-575-2600. You can tweet us also at KDPomp, at Chris Mueller PGH. We're back with more of your opinions right here live on Pittsburgh CW.